Okay, so in today's video, I'm going to be showing you a little bit of stuff I've learnt recently about how to use Google Docs. Now, the reason I'm making this video is because I have a team in my major production class who have a little bit of an issue with wanting to use this as a live GDD for game development. In this video, I want to show you some of the things that I've learnt in the recent times that I've been using Google Docs, which have been very useful and powerful implementations for using Google Docs. So if you're unsure of how to use it and be in an organized fashion and have a checklist and all these awesome little features, then I'm going to show you some little awesome features that might actually help you develop your project and help you keep organized and on track of things. So I want to note that I do have my own log of projects and I've only recently just learnt a new feature. So this is my Google Doc for the regulator where I'm writing down little log entries and making notes of everything I've been doing. So far I have 19 log entries. This means 19 days of work have gone into this game and definitely been logged. There are some external hours to my game, but we're not going to go into detail about that. Today's video is all about developing a single document and trying to keep it organized. So for the title of this project, it's going to be called a game GDD. You can format this however you want, so feel free to do that when you feel like it. So next, I am going to sort of make a context page just because there is version history, but then there's also a context page. So I'll just make it version history first. That way I have something to use. And then I can write down page of contents. So this page of contents is going to contain a bunch of information. So the way we first of all set this up is first of all we're going to go and hit insert, go to the table of contents, and then we can choose with page numbers or with blue links. I'm going to choose with page numbers, that way we have an idea of where things go. Now it tells you straight up to add headings, you go to the format and then you go to paragraph styles. So paragraph styles right here, and then you can use these headings to decide what's going to fit the criteria. So next of all, I'm just going to go to a new page. I'm not sure about hotkeys to new paging, so I'm particularly sorry about that. And then we're going to call this first parts, what would we call this straight up off the back of my head? It's not at the back of my head, I apologize, but an overview. So I'm going to call this an overview. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight it, I'm going to go format, and this paragraph style is going to be heading 1. I'm going to apply heading 1 to this. Heading 1 then will be updated. Once we go up here, we can hit the update table, and then we have the overview, and if I click this link, it'll take me straight to overview. Now, if I really want to change the colors, I can change the colors. It will not affect anything at all, and I can particularly just set the colors however I want, and then update or apply headings depending on which option you prefer to go with. So if you're worried about this breaking things, just feel free to highlight, format, paragraphs, headings 1, and it's already applied as heading 1, but I could hit update, and I believe it will update. Well, actually, it doesn't really update, but that's it. So now we can write stuff about the overview. This is the overview for this page. So then I could go on to saying about the art, okay, so we'll just call it the art page. Then I'm going to call the next one the programming page. So I'll just call them just art and programming. Then I'll have one called design. So what I can do, highlight the word format, and actually I might even just go straight to changing the colors straight up. That way they are there. And then I can go back to the format, go to heading 1, apply heading 1. I can change the color however I see fit, and it will be absolutely fine. And because I want to keep the colors a bit coordinated so it's a bit easier to identify, oh, these are the core words, and it helps you to find things really quickly. So I'll go format this last one, and this will be heading 1, apply heading 1. Then all we have to do is, because nothing shows up here, is hit this update table of contents button, and it will just automatically add things and identify where things are. Now, I believe if this is pushed onto another page, you still have to update it because it's now on another page. It won't automatically update unless you hit the update button. So as you update things, it's good to be like, hey, I'm going to hit the update button and it'll be all clean and tidy. So I've found recently that this is a very powerful tool if you have an idea of how to use it. So that's awesome, and it helps you to keep clean and tidy and find things really, really quickly. So this version history, I'm also going to give it a nice color, and I'm also going to make it bold, and I'm also going to say I want to go to the format, and I want to go paragraph styles, heading 1, apply heading 1. And then when I go here, I can update. Now, if you're unsure about little details in between on how to say, hey, this is a smaller thing or whatnot, then let's just do that now. So in the overview, we may have a section called the gameplay, and we might want to have this little comma thingy here to say, hey, this is the gameplay. Then what we can do is we can go format, and if you know what the first one was called, we know that heading 1 is heading 1. We don't want to go heading 1, we want to go heading 2, apply heading 2, and I can change the color as I feel fit to change color, and then I can go up here and I can hit this little button here and update, and then it will just put it in here under the overview. Then if I wanted to go to the gameplay to see a bit about what the gameplay is all about, I can go straight to it and see. Now, I'm just going to make another page on purpose because I want to really talk about the newest feature that I've learned that's very, very helpful. And this is to keep track of how your project's going. So the tracking board. I'm going to call this tracking board. It's probably not the correct terminology, but it makes sense. And that's why I've called it the tracking board. So I'm going to make it a nice color. And then I'm going to go to the format. I'm going to go to the font, paragraph styles, go straight to heading 1, apply heading 1, and then I'm going to go under here, and I'm going to also make a new heading here under it, and it's going to be called the programming section. So the programming section is going to be its own heading with the table, the format being under paragraph styles heading 2, apply heading 2, and I'll be able to change colors whenever I want. I'm not going to be interested in that. And then I'm going to call this the weather system. And I'm going to call this for heading 3. And the reason I'm going to call it heading 3 is because I want to go on the heading 3. Then on the weather systems, it's going to be all about the day, time of day, and all this little information. So it's like my other project, like I've got here, but a little bit more neater. So we have the weather systems, and all this stuff just about comes under weather systems, not all of it, but close enough. And I'm just about going to copy all this and paste it over here, but without copying and pasting. So this is the weather systems. What's involved with the weather systems? So day and night. So day and night. We have rain and hail, thunder and lightning, are calm and windy. And what we're going to do with these 4 lines is we're going to give them a checkbox. Now all we need to do is go to this bullet list, click this list, and then we click on the one with the checker boxes. Now when we do that, it appears like this. Now first of all, I'm going to go back up here. I'm going to update the page history, or should I say, yeah, the version history, the overviews and all page of content stuff. That makes things easier. I'm forgetting a little bit. I apologize. Not clear and consistent enough. But it updates, and we can go, here's the tracking board, so we can keep track of what things are happening, and here's the programming tasks, and here's the weather systems under programming. I want to go and see what the programmers have left to do. So here's the things that they have to do. So currently, you may look at this day and night and be like, oh, that's cool, have they done it yet? And you might check in your project and be like, yes or no, they have or haven't done it. So what you do is you highlight this box. If you want to make sure everyone knows that it's done, you highlight this box, you right click, and then you can hit all these little figures here. and I'm going to hit the tick, and it's going to say it's basically done. It's a very useful tool to try and keep updating and letting people know that, hey, things have been happening and things have been done. This is also a new idea that I have if you were to make a GDD and you wanted to keep track of it on top of this and manage with your other team members and say, hey, I've done this, this is what has to be done, this has been done. And it can be an effective system just like Trello is, but Trello can be a bit of a headache and a kerfluffle with all those cards. So if someone says they've done the day and night system, they can just tick it off. If something needs to be added, it can be added. However, Trello does have the effects and the abilities that Microsoft Word and Google Word do not have, and that's the fact that you can set priorities for certain things very easily. Now, if I want to set priorities, I can just use a color tagging key system and basically say this is important, has to be done. This is not so important, so I'll just make this a nice yellow, and then I could say, well, this is something that can be thought about. So it makes it so it's easier for people to identify by color if you have a key system. Now, there's no key system in this project, so it's not worth saying, hey, let's just do this. So you'd basically have a key under programming saying the key, and the key will be basically high priority. And this is what you'd basically have in Trello boards, and I've learned this from team members and all other sorts of people. So you could have high priority. It's on the wish list, and then you could say for the next one, um, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. High priority and wish list are basically the only two that you'd want to think about. So high priority will be red, and the wish list will be yellow. So yeah, this is a terrible color. I'm gonna use an orange just because it might stand out a bit better. So wish list high priority. Yeah, it just doesn't feel right. That's a little bit better. And then what I can say is the day and night is basically a high priority item, so I'll make it high priority. The rain and hail, I'll put it on the wish list. So you can use the color combinations to say, hey, this is important, it has to be done, this can be done later, and then they can just do things in order of what's important. And then they can sort things according to what's more important than what else. So I'm just gonna remove those things because I don't really want them in the project, but nah, I'm actually gonna leave them. So I'm quite fussy and I keep changing my minds. But that's basically all the most important information you may need to know. But when you talk about things like it's about the gameplay, so let's just talk about the gameplay for a minute and just say, in the shortest terms possible, a demonstration of how uh, Google Word is effective at conveying information when used appropriately. So that's basically what I'm going to do for a demonstration of the gameplay, because the gameplay is demonstration of how Word is effective at conveying information when used appropriately. So this is a very, very powerful tool if you can use it. Now, I'll be 100% honest on why I'm making this video. It's because the people I've worked with, including myself, have wanted to avoid using Google Word because we know how to use Microsoft Word and been using it at school. But the thing is, it's about learning to use tools that you can afford and that are in your price range. And this thing is for free. You can use it any day, anytime, anywhere, and it doesn't cost you unless you don't have internet access. So learning to use the tool like I've just shown you is very, very powerful and very, very useful to organize information and create beautiful, beautiful documents. My name is Michael. Thanks for watching this Talcomstudios channel, signing off.